Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Um, Good evening, brothers and sisters in Islam. I hope that you had a good Friday. Everybody made it to the masjid, inshallah. But I wanted to talk about addressing the elephant in the room about STDs, and STIs. So let's start off with what does that actually mean. So a STI is a sexually transmitted infection, such as like chlamydia, gonorrhea, those kinds of things. And then the STD are things that you can't get rid of, like the HIV, the herpes, and things like that. So one of the things, the reason why I wanted to talk about this was because it's a lot of Muslims in this community that's shaming people for having a STD, right? When a lot of them are ignorant to what that actually mean, what that could possibly be for someone, you just have no idea. So what I'm not doing is saying that when somebody has an STD, that means you got to go and marry them and all that kind of stuff. No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that you never know how someone may have contracted it. You don't know. Some of you are just basically ignorant about how to acquire it, and all these things. Like, I'm gonna just get down to the bottom of it. Well, let's talk about, first of all, HIV, right? So if someone has HIV, it's not a death sentence like it used to be when it first came out in the public about people having HIV, that it was a death sentence. As of today, with the medications that they have, people are only dying approximately. And what I mean by approximately, I don't, obviously everybody dies because of the will of Allah, and that was what was written for them. But in average, they are only dying 1 year less than the average person. So it's not taking all these years off their life like it used to be. It's like you got HIV, in a few years you were dying. It's not like that anymore. But also, too, when it comes to HIV, is that some of you may even be married to people right now. They have HIV and you have no idea. Because even if they go get tested, they come back negative because it's called undetectable. So if they're taking their medications properly and how they're supposed to, they can become undetectable. So what that means is they're undetected. Okay, that's number one. But number two, we have to stop. Number two, there's a thing called PrEP. So you can take PrEP that will also help you with not contracting HIV. Many successful relationships happen where one person doesn't have it, another person do. The other party doesn't get HIV. The children don't get HIV, and everybody is safe and sound by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's number two. But number three, we have these people in this community who is shaming people for having STDs. And many of you don't even know if you are positive. You don't get tested. You have no idea, if you do get tested, where you got it from. And you have a nerve to shame other people who are honest about their status, or people who have herpes. And what people don't know is, those little cold sores that you get that everybody be like, oh, it's just a cold sore. That's herpes simplex 1. Okay. So a lot of you have herpes and act like having herpes 1 versus herpes 2 is just so much more grievous. It's the same thing. It's just where they show up on the body. And I've heard of sisters saying that they were honest about, with potential suitors, that they had herpes or whatever, and brothers shaming them so much so to the point that they put their business out in the community that they have herpes. Okay, so where do they? Who says that you should warn people against anybody for having a STD or an STI? Where do they do that at? I'm confused, because I don't know if you guys remember, but a lot of women back when HIV first came out got it from their husbands who were sleeping with men. But you outing this woman for being honest about her status. And that's not to say that there's probably not women that got it from, being promiscuous and things like that. But it's not your place to do that, to out them like that. I think it's so disheartening because what we don't do is we're separating a community based on something that is not okay. It's just not okay. So let's get down next to the nitty gritty. People, me and my Sahaba was talking about this earlier, where, people want to go and jump the gun and start with the pleasures of marriage, but we don't want to handle the business of marriage. So what that mean is, people, brothers and sisters alike, they want to get married, they want to jump in bed together, but yet there's no establishment of a marriage. Meaning you want to, jump their bones, but yet this sister, you haven't provided her with food, clothes, or shelter. You just want to consummate the marriage and be like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. But we should really start getting people tested. Get yourself tested regularly. I don't care if you are married, get yourself tested. Unless you abstinent, there should be no reason why you're not getting tested. Period. This is your health. This is your well-being. Everybody, at least the bare minimum, when you go get your physical, you get that part checked also. It should not be when you find out that you have a STD because someone else got tested. Do you know, I remember this years ago. I remember it like it was yesterday, when we was in sex education class, and they put up a picture of Philadelphia, which was disgusting, of all these green and red dots. The red represented women and the green represented the boys, if I believe the colors, but the colors doesn't really matter. And it was so many red dots representing women that said that they had more STDs than boys. Now, all the boys like, ew, y'all girls are dirty and blah, 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 blah. And the presenter had to say, no, it's because women are more likely to get tested than boys. And most of the time when boys find out that they have something, it's because the girl told them that they have something. This is our health. This should not be you should not wait to see if you have something based on when someone tells you that you have something. We have to grow up. We have to grow up. And when I mean by we have to grow up, I am meaning men. Stop acting like a child. Children get their doctor's appointments scheduled by their mothers. You are a grown man. Women, we need to stop getting into these relationships and not saying, hey, go get tested. Go get tested. Because it's our health, it's our life. But what I do want to say also on top of it that I thought was interesting, I used to say this all the time to people, because people think that the worst thing in the world is getting an STD and dying from an STD. Many of you people are already dead. You're dead spiritually, you're dead emotionally, you're dead financially, you're dead mentally. You just completely dead all around the board. But then when you find out that someone has STD, you want to spread all their business around the whole community. This sister that I was doing a counseling session with, she said somebody pulled a shotgun out on her because she was honest about having an STD. that she couldn't get rid of. And I found that to be very, very interesting because you were about to sleep with her without getting any kind of testing. So you probably already have something. Because if this is the way you go about your own body, that you wait for somebody to tell you that they have something, what about the people that don't tell and they sleep with you and you have no idea what's going on? And see, that is our issue in our community. We are so reactive about stuff instead of being proactive, going to the doctor, going to the mental health clinic, making sure we eating well, making sure we exercise. And we are so reactive about everything instead of proactive about our health. And when I say our health, I mean in general. So much so that the rise of syphilis is on the rise again. But why? Why are these STDs on the rise? Like literally, if people go and get tested, we can get these kinds of things eradicated. Literally, just by being proactive, getting tested. Just doing that and making sure that we don't pass the disease on to anyone else. But no, we'll wait till we get something. And then we want to kill everybody because we got something because we were negligent with our own health. But we want to blame everybody else. We have the highest rates almost of every kind of disease that you can think of sexually because we don't do that work. We get married, sleep with them, don't have no idea. Or we'll get married to people knowing what they're doing out in the streets. I got a divorce before because a man really wanted to be married with someone who cheated on him and was prostituting. We don't think about these things. We just go and lay in bed with them. We just go and sleep with them. We just go and do all these things that is unbecoming of a Muslim. And then when we get burnt, literally, then we want to tell everybody and warn everybody against a person when you should be warning everybody against yourself, saying, I'm reckless with my own health. I don't make preparations. I don't know how to schedule my own doctor's appointments. These are the things that we should be talking about and disclosing if you want to disclose anything. Educate yourself, learn. And this is not to say that you have to marry again someone who has an STD. Like, oh, I don't want to shame nobody. No, you just don't shame somebody by not shaming them. You can still say, that's not something that I want in a wife. Alhamdulillah, I'm glad you were honest, or whatever the case may be, and say, but that's not something I want. You don't gotta go and tell everybody. Telling people, oh, we don't want our sisters having that. Having what? What are you talking about? I said, because now what you accuse, I was like, you accusing a sister of trying to have sex with other people, women in the masjid, so that's how they're going to get it. I don't know if people remember about that herpes outbreak that happened at the masjid. Like everybody was getting herpes because everybody's sleeping with everybody getting married to everybody divorcing everybody. We have a systemic problem in our community. We have a problem when it comes down to marriage. It's horrendous and it's ridiculous. But again, educate yourselves on what it means for someone who is living with HIV, what it means for someone having herpes, what it means to have syphilis, what it means to have gonorrhea and chlamydia. Even if you gotta go down to the basic of how it's contracted, because clearly some of y'all seem to not know that having unprotected sex with random people will get you diseases. That's why marriage is implemented in an institution by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To protect, it's a protection, like literally, it's a protection. But we are not taking marriage seriously in our ummah by doing the necessary preparations and legwork. We just have to do the work. I promise you, it's so beneficial. It is so beneficial when you just go and say, hey, let's get an STD check. And then if that's not something you want, you don't gotta slander when I slander, you don't have to go and spread their business to everybody. You could just say, that's not what I want, and move on. Seriously, guys, we just gotta do better with our people. Why do we have to tear each other down? We don't have to do that. We can literally just say, no, no, that's not what I want, and that's it, and walk away. But the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that, one day men will become women and women will become men, because I promise you, this is where it's at. People always talk about women having masculine energy and men are having feminine energy. Going around slandering people and telling people their business and doing all this stuff that men shouldn't be doing. And then women going out and doing what things that women shouldn't be doing. We have to do better. We have to get better. And we just have a lot of work to do in this community in regards to sexually transmitted diseases and how we treat one another. Our adab is off. It is off. We treat people horribly. No one can take corrective feedback. No one can take accountability, men or women. Just no accountability nowhere. Oh, these women, they keep blah, 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 blah. You chose them. These men, blah, 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 blah. They don't know how to lead. You chose him. And, or you stayed with him or her. And we have to take accountability for that. What it is in me that keep attracting people like you? And what is it in me that makes me want to think that I can change you? And I remember I was at the masjid one day and somebody said that they had understanding. They're very understanding. And I said, you're not understanding, you tolerate. Because sometimes understanding comes with, I understand that this is how you are, but I know I can't deal with it. I know I can't follow any man who does or behaves like this. Because that's what women do. Oh, I can't follow him because he X, Y, and Z. Then why you marry him? I'm not marrying nobody that I feel like I can't follow. I'm not marrying nobody that I feel like I can't. Or stay with someone that I feel like their leadership is off if I didn't realize it at the beginning, but I own it. I would never. Any man that I marry, he understands that in this castle that we have, he's the king. He has the final say in everything. And if I don't believe in his dream and I don't believe in his program and I don't believe in what he got going on, then I ain't gonna be with you. But we gotta stop that whole idea of, oh, I can never follow a man. Well, then you want to always have problems in your relationship, because women are meant to follow their husband. Period. And if you feel like you can't follow him, don't let him be your husband. It's that simple. Men, if you feel like she doesn't want to follow you, then don't let her be your wife. Why try to make someone conform to your idea? You can just stop. But again, it's called accountability. Take accountability for the part that you play in any dysfunction. Stop blaming the other person. Because when you blame other people, You clearly don't have any control over your own life. It's everybody else. No, it's you. It's you, sister. It's you, brother. And I love the ones that say, oh, yeah, but I'm a good woman. Okay, then be a good woman for a good man. Stop picking bums. Oh, I'm a good man. Okay, then be a good man for a good woman. Stop being a bum instead of a bum. Just stop. And I'm not saying that that's easy. So by all means, I know I'm like, oh, it's trying to make it simplistic and just do this or do that. And I'm not saying that it's easy. Sometimes it's very, very hard and very, very difficult to do that. It is. But you have to believe that you are worth more, that you are worth having a good relationship, that you are worth going out there and seeking the things that you want to seek. That's important. You have to do that. That's okay. But what I am going to say is that we have to take accountability. We have to accept that we are responsible for our own life. Because on the day of judgment, who gonna be there with you but you? And we forget that. Because there ain't no pointing no fingers at nobody but you. And we got to figure that out. We got to do that. We got to do better. So again, these toxic relationships, you so worried about, stuff that don't matter. But again, like I was just like, going back to the HIV, people so concerned about catching HIV from somebody, but yet they don't check to even see if they had HIV, which I think is amazing by all means. But some of you guys don't even have to worry about catching HIV again, because some of you are already dead while alive. And I'm going to repeat again. You emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially, everything just dead. And it's reflective in your character, because remember, behaviors are stories that couldn't be told. So when you are behaving badly, it's telling your story. It's telling your story. Behaviors tell stories. So when you are abusive, and I don't care if you're a man or a woman, when you are abusive to other people, it's telling your story of you, how you were abused and no one protected you. Behaviors tell stories. So when you looking at someone and you see them behaving badly, have some grace and say, what is your behavior? What is your behavior trying to tell me? Now again, you can be understanding and not tolerate. I understand your story, but I'm not tolerating your story. I forgive you, but I'm not tolerating it. So again, people, do your research, do your homework, get tested, stop shaming. Because if you're shaming, that means you're already dead anyway. You're already dead. And I'm going to leave you guys with that. And I hope that you'll continue to have a blessed evening. Make sure y'all play all your sola. Keep it going. Make sure you do all them rakah. Do your thing. And act and seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgiveness for anyone who has shamed someone for being honest to you and disclosing their secrets, in the interest of not being dishonest about what's going on with them. Okay. So may y'all enjoy your evening, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.